Hello viewers, welcome to this session. Today the focus is on tourism market research. What is research? Well, research is when you do a very careful and a detailed study on something, that is what we call as research. It may be either on a situation, or you talk about an issue, or you talk about a problem. So in this context, each one of us at some point of time or the other has been a researcher. Say for example, you want to book a flight ticket. So what do? You search for information. You search for information on the number of airlines which is operating to that destination. You also check what is the flight timing, the flying time, how many hours will it take. And maybe you'll do a comparative study of the fares also, the price in terms of which airline is offering at a lower price. And then you make, and when you have this information, then you make an informed decision. Now, to call this, what you are doing is research, but to call this research, it is a little at a very, simple level, or at a very rudimentary form. Because the term research, it has got a technical tone to it, a certain type of formality. So when we talk about research, we talk about in terms of what the scientists are doing. Research is what the scientists are doing. Research is what the academician and the professionals are doing, or the research work of a PhD scholar. So research is about investigating. It is the quest for knowledge and about understanding minute details of whatever you are studying. So it is the systematic investigation and about understanding and evaluating what is happening. And why do we do research? There are two fundamental reasons or aims for this. One is it minimizes risks. Like when you are planning something, when the plan is being made, if you have informed information and you do the research, then it minimizes the risks, because informed decision is always a deterrent to, or it minimizes the risk element which is there in every work. And then even after the plan has been implemented, it can monitor performance. Research is helpful in monitoring performances. Now, let us see, you have already, when we talk about market, it is basically in terms of a place where the buyers and the sellers, they interact and transaction takes place. But market is also seen as a group of actual and potential customer. And if you talk about tourism, then we would relate it to tourists, the existing tourists as well as the potential tourists. Like Philip Kotler, the marketing guru, says, a market consists of all the potential customers sharing a particular need or want who might be willing, because they have to be willing to and should be able to engage in an exchange and to satisfy the needs or the wants that they have. So if you combine these two, market research is basically investigating about the market and understanding the market in minute details. Whenever we talk about market research, there is also the term marketing research. People tend to use it synonymously. So there is a certain little bit of difference between those two. We say market is about existing and potential customer. What is marketing then? Marketing, it is the activity or the process of creating, and then you communicate and distributing, as well as you are talking about the exchange of what? Of offerings or services, in terms of services and products, which fulfills the needs of the individual, the consumer base, and the society at large. So marketing goes much more beyond market. It is not only the process of understanding your customers, but it is also aims at building and maintaining the relationship with them. So marketing research, it involves a variety of aspects, including research into new products, then price distribution channels, publicity, like all the promotional activities. Whereas the research into the consumer part, their patterns of behavior, then we can narrowly define them as market research, which means that market research is a subset of the overall or the umbrella term of the marketing research. Now, the tourism industry, why we need to do or to conduct market research? We do it for a variety of purposes. For example, if you know your market, then you will be able to identify the opportunity for product development. The tourist market or the tourists, the modern day tourists, they have become very experimental. They have become more aware because information is being bombarded from every direction. We have lots and lots of information available if you want to be a tourist and you want to go for a tour. So lots of information are there. And what happens is when the option is there, the preferences and the likes and dislikes of the tourists, they also manifold itself into various dimensions. So there are new possibility for new opportunities for developing newer product development, and this is happening also. And when we do research, it also helps in making decision about investment in new facilities. For example, you talk about, say, a destination. In recent years, there have been a number of manifold increases in tourist flow into that destination. So that destination has only one airport, and people can do a research on whether the existing airport is able to maintain the flow of the traveler, and if there is a need for a new airport to be constructed. So it can help in decision making also. Now, it also helps in choosing locations for new hotels and for theme parks, and maybe suggest opportunities for diversification also. The natural landmark is already there and it is an important tourist site. But at the same time, when you do a research on the market and you come to know that they are also open to having additional type of attraction, then obviously you can people, maybe the destination development team or the promoters, they can think of adding new attraction into it, maybe a theme park or maybe another man-made attraction or maybe various type of activities. So this is how new products are also developed and offered to the market. So tourism organization, it requires a wide variety of data on tourist behavior. We need the statistical profiles of tourists in terms of gender, how many males are coming, how many females are coming, in terms of age, whether that particular destination is the existing tourists who are coming to that particular destination, whether they are youngsters or which age group it is there. And terms of the prices or the money that they are spending in that destination, the statistical profile, the educational level of the tourists. This helps when you are trying to develop new products or when you are even trying to make tourism development management easier in that destination. And you need the statistical records of tourist behavior. How many tourist frequency of holidays that the tourists on an average take when they are coming to that destination. So whether those tourists, they are willing to take one long holiday in a year, or they are frequent travelers, but they travel even the way that they travel, how they travel, which type of transport do they use, what type of accommodation do they use. So based on that, you can profile the tourists who are coming to a destination. Then the choices of holiday destination is also very important. If there is a hill destination, a tourist hill station, then you would want to know whether how many tourists are coming to your area and whether they have any other choice of a destination apart from the hill station, or they are just hill station lovers. Whenever they take a holiday, they always prefer to go to a hill station. So this type of statistics is also very important. Now, tourist satisfaction is another area where you need variety of information, because based on the satisfaction level of the tourist, then you would know where your destination stands. whether they are still satisfied with the offerings that you have in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the new products, and again in terms of the quality of services that you are providing. So if they are satisfied, then you can think of enhancing more, what more can I do to increase the attractiveness of the destination. Or if the tourists are not satisfied, then the destination planners, they should have more work at hand, and they need to take corrective actions. So product positioning in relation to competitors is another type of data that the tourism promoters would be really needing. This would be in terms of how tourists, they perceive the similar product of different organizations. So there are two destinations with the same offering. So why tourists are coming to the other destination and not choosing our destination? So this type of research into knowing the aspirations or the attitude of the tourists to the product that I have, and how do they perceive the other similar product of different destination of another similar destination. This is also important. So market research, it helps a product or a service provider seek answers to various questions like, where do my customer come from? This is in terms of tourists, this is the tourist generating area. For example, in India, Bangladesh, USA and UK, they are the three most tourism generating countries for India. So where do my customer come from? So how do they perceive my product? Whether they like my product, are they satisfied with that? And how effective is my marketing strategy? The marketing strategy that India has developed, whether it is fulfilling or whether it is making a kind of connection with the potential tourists or the existing tourists, this is also very important. And it helps, research helps to understand this thing. And who is my competitor? It is a competitive world. So when you are in a very competitive world, then you have to be one step ahead of your other competitors if you have to capture the market. So obviously you would want to know who is your competitor. So these are questions which research helps. Research, like I said, it is a detailed and a careful investigation, systematic investigation. And market research is a dynamic process. It is an ongoing process and a very important tool whenever we are thinking of making better marketing, planning and management of tourist facilities and enterprises. Now, at the base of all tourism research work, information, it is the base. And the type of information, it becomes clearer when the type and the nature of the research work to be undertaken are specified. So in the realm of or the domain of social science research, on the basis on the information requirement, we can identify some common type of research work which is also applicable to the tourism discipline. One is the exploratory research. Now, exploratory research, it is conducted when there is little or no data which exists on the theme under investigation. This is more like an attempt to lay the groundwork, to lay a knowledge base so that it can lead to future studies. Descriptive research is to find out the question of what is. What is means you are trying to describe that phenomenon, or you're talking about, like, let's take the hill station. So you are describing the research which describe that particular hill station in terms of what the infrastructure it has right now, in terms of its readiness to accept more or tourists, what is the capability or the carrying capacity. So it is a descriptive research. Now, explanatory research, like the name it suggests, it explains the how and the why of the phenomenon under studies. You're trying to find answers. Why is it happening? Why is Thailand receiving much more tourists than India when it is a smaller size and then India is a big nation? So the questions of why and how it comes into the picture in the explanatory. When you talk about the causal research, you try to find the cause. So it involves the use of variables and the construction of hypotheses to support or reject the causal relationship between two or more variables. Now, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a tentative statements about relationship between two or more variables. For example, if I say it is a theory that you are proposing, and based on your research, you are trying to accept that hypothesis, accept that theory, or you are going to reject that theory. So if I say children who plays more than 2 hours every day outside physical activity, that they have less sick time, or you say they don't fall sick. So this is a hypothesis or a theory that I am proposing in that research. And you do the research, and then I'm trying to find out whether this is right or wrong. And the causal is between two variables, that outside want and then the sickness. So this is how the causal effect of research takes place. Comparative research, this is comparing research study units across time and space, as well as between the study units themselves. And when we talk about comparison, it is always between equal units, equal in terms of the parameters. You cannot compare one which has different sets of parameters. Evaluative research, it aims at determining the outcome of changes in the phenomenon under study. For example, a destination has added a new theme park. So what is the changes or the outcome of that installation of a new theme park? What is its effect or its on the overall tourism flow, traffic to that destination? And again, predictive research, it aims to provide information concerning future events. Now, information is generated from data which are basically of two types. It is common knowledge, we know it, data of two types, primary data and secondary data. Now, primary data, they are generated through first-hand investigation, specifically for the purposes or for the research problem at hand. So if I have a research problem and I'm doing research on that, the type of information which I am generating for that particular problem, for that particular research, this is the primary data. And we use methods like surveys, we use interviews or experiments. It is the direct, and you go directly to the respondents, and then it is being generated. So when this type of data, it has high degree of accuracy related to the problem, because you are specifically collecting that data specific to the problem, so it has a high degree of accuracy and the data are reliable. Now, secondary data, on the other hand, it is collected by someone else for some other purposes, but you are using it in your particular research. So it is like, say, when you are talking about you want to study the satisfaction of tourists who are coming to a particular destination. So first you need to know the number of tourists who are coming to that destination. So you don't need to find it out on your own how many tourists are coming. You don't need to go and generate that data yourself. You can refer to the tourism department of that destination, and they already have a report or a survey done, or they collect the information and from time to time. So you can refer to that data which is already collected. So use of data which is already collected with somebody else, this is what we call as the use of the secondary data, and the researcher is the secondary user. He is using some data which has been collected by somebody else before. And like I said, the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, they have done a number of market surveys, number of reports have been generated, and it is a storehouse, a beautiful and a reliable storehouse for many researchers. You need to go to the website, it is there, and then so many reports according to your research needs, so many reports are already there. And the use of secondary data is that you need not duplicate. When something is already there, why generate it again? So it saves you time and you already have it. So secondary data and primary data are there. Now let us see a little bit about the stages of the research study. First, we need to decide on the research topic. And once the research topic or the theme is decided, then you need to find out what is the purpose. And then you set the objectives. After setting the objective, the next step or the next stage will be you design a research plan. So a research design, it is a master plan on how the research will be conducted sequence-wise. So it starts from the objective. Then it also includes the type of methodology you will be using, the type of research methods or the research tools for generating your data. And then it also talks about the tools for analyzing the data. So it is a complete framework of the action plans which needs to be taken or which needs to be implemented for fulfilling the research objectives. Now, after the research design has been made, then you start the data collection based on the type of method that you will be using, the tools that has been specified in the research design. Then after that you collate, you store, and then the data is cleaned, and then based on that you do the analysis. Once the analysis is done, you have to interpret it in terms of the objective that you have set, and then you report the research finding. So this is just a very simple step of the stages of research study. Starts with decide on the research, the purpose, and you set the objectives. Then you design a research plan to collect the data, analyze, and then interpret, and then you report the research findings. So research methodology, it is a science to study how the research is to be conducted. So it is a specific procedure or techniques used for what? To identify, to select, to process, and analyze information about a topic that you are researching. And the most important methodological choice researchers make is based on the distinction between qualitative and quantitative data. So there are two types of major methodology of research: qualitative research methodology and the quantitative research methodology. There is another type which is a hybrid or a mix of this, called as the mixed research methodology, but here we will be dealing a little bit more on the two major types. The qualitative research methodology, it explores. It is mainly used when you are trying to gather qualitative data which explores ideas, feelings, and attitudes, something abstract, not a concrete or something which can be given in numbers. So you aim for a complete detailed description of observation in terms of context of events and circumstances. And it is concerned, that is qualitative research methodology, it is concerned with answering questions such as what is good about the destination. You cannot give a point to that. You are asking, how do you feel when you come to this destination? That feeling, it is an abstract thing. So qualitative research methodology is for the type of it is for those type of research which involve collecting a great deal of rich information about relatively few people, then limited information about a large number of people. Then the information, it will be regarding experiences, motivation, behavior, their needs and aspirations. They are more personal. Qualitative methodology, they are more personal. And the aim is to get in-depth, more open-ended answers rather than yes or no responses. In open-ended questions, you ask a question, you leave it open, it is up to the respondent to answer in whatever way they want. Like you can ask a question, what was your experience about coming to India? So this is an open-ended question. You're not giving them any choices for the answer. It is up to them to answer, and when the answer is there, it is up to the researcher to how they analyze the data which is coming from there. Then the popular methods which is based on qualitative data, it include semi-structured or unstructured interview, participant observation, document analysis. You go through different documents, take out a theme, and then try to make an analysis out of that. But there are certain disadvantages for this. Small number of people are usually involved, and it is a time-taking process also. Thus, generalization about the population at large cannot be made. Supposing when you do a qualitative research, you may be talking to maybe about 15 people or 20 people, whereas the population or the universe that you are thinking of doing the research on, it may run to 2,000 to 3,000. So 15 to 20 people, and then you are generating it for say 2,000 is too small. Supposing if you say 1 lakh people are there, and then you are talking only to 15, 20 people, the responses, it cannot be generalized for all those 1 lakh people. because the sample size that you have taken is very less. But nonetheless, because it depends on the type of questions that you frame and the type of responses that you can get from the people or the respondents, which is also important. So the measurement of qualitative material often requires judgment to be made by the researcher, and this is where the question of objectivity arises. Quantitative research methodology, it is concerned with how much and how many. So it has a numerical basis to test a hypothesis or explain the observation. You classify the features, you count them, you create the statistical models. And here it is easy to collect. It is no doubt a time-consuming exercise when the people that you are, or the respondents that you are targeting, is a large number. But it is easier to collect and analyze, and it is based on a large sample of participants. So when you have large sample of participants, then generalization to a wider group is possible. And the sample has to be done it has to be adequate, keeping in with the issue under consideration, and should be representative of the population. So the popular methods which are based on quantitative data, it can include questionnaires, the set of questions that you have prepared and then you distribute it. The organizational statistical records, among others. Close questions are widely used because they are more convenient for computer and statistical analysis, because usually in the quantitative data, the data are usually summarized and analyzed using the computer. And the attitudes. We have said in qualitative data, usually abstract feelings like attitudes and opinions can be measured. In quantitative data, this can also be measured, but here we use it with the help of scoring and rating cards. Like you can say in a scale of 1 to 5, you give your rating. Or you say strongly agree to strongly disagree. So this is how it is done. Or you give a score line and then people or the respondents marked on it. The disadvantage is that they are often impersonal when compared to the qualitative data. Large samples are required to be representative of the population, and because you require it for the statistical analysis. So the biases, it may also be caused by poor questions or poor interviewers, which affect the people's answer. Now, we have talked a lot about population and sample. What exactly are these? Supposing when you have to collect data relevant for research, and a large number of people has to be contacted. If you have to talk about the international tourists coming to India, if the complete data is to be had about tourists, their experiences and preferences when they are in India, say in 2019 we have 10 million plus tourists coming to India. So to contact 10 million tourists, it is nearly impossible. I wouldn't say impossible, it is nearly impossible and a huge task. So what is the practical method? The practical method is you conduct you choose a much smaller number, and you choose it so that it is representative of that 10 million. So this smaller number or the subset of the total is called as a sample, whereas the total number, it is called as the population or the universe. For example, you are doing a research in a school. So if there are 2,000 students in that school, and you are asking all 2,000 students to be part of your research work, then that 2,000 students, those are the population. And you are doing a survey, so that is a census survey. And if instead of asking 2,000 students, you have chosen only 100 of them, so this 100, it becomes the sample. So you now know the difference between sample and population. Population is the whole universe of your research, and then sample is the number of respondents which you have chosen, which is a part or a subset of that population. And there are different methods of sampling, and it is very important. How do you select that subset or that sample? It is very, because once you make something wrong in that, then if it is not, you cannot generalize it, or it is not representative of the population, then your research itself will be faulty. So there are two types of sampling. One is probability sampling and another is the non-probability sampling. In probability sampling, we have random sampling. Random sampling is when every participant has an equal chance of being selected. Now, systematic sampling is at regular intervals you choose your respondent. For example, if there is you have sequenced all the respondents or all the population in serial wise, and then you say every 10th respondent will be selected for the sample. So that is systematic sampling. Stratified sampling is the whole population, you divide it into subgroups, and from each subgroup you do a random sampling and then you choose the respondent. But if you use that section as the sampling unit, then that again is called as the clustered sampling. So in non-probability sampling, like the name suggests, each respondent do not have an equal chance of being selected or being chosen to be a part of that sample. Convenience sampling, it is one of the easiest and the most using it, what convenient is there. So this is depends upon the willingness and the availability of the respondents. So you do your sampling based on that. And there are lots of sampling biases in that, because the people who are willing and they are available, the type of response that they give may not be in tune with the people who are not available or who are not willing to be part of your research work. So that bias is there. Judgment sampling, we call it as selective sampling or even purposive sampling. Here it depends upon the judgment of the researcher. It is up to him to decide or fix parameters to choose the sample. Snowball sampling, we do it when the respondents are hard to target or hard to get. So if you have a few of them, then they are taken into the research work and you ask them to recommend people because they know who are similar to the characteristics that they have. So this type of sampling is called as the snowball sampling, from one to another, and then it goes on. So you don't know your respondent, it just snowballed into it. So these are a few methods of sampling which is there. Now both qualitative and quantitative research method, they have their own pros and cons, their own merits, demerits. At some place only statistical survey would be of use to the organization. When you are calculating the number of people visiting a destination or attraction, then you need numbers. So this is where the quantitative research method is used. But on the other hand, there are avenues like when you want to understand the impact of tourism. You want to know the residents' opinion about tourism development. Then here qualitative data research will fill the gap. Survey research is one of the most commonly used methods in market research. And if the entire population is sought to be contacted, and it is called as a census service, like we have the population survey that India takes every 10 years, then the whole population is, the whole people of India is taken into consideration, so this is a census survey. But if the responses are sought from a sample of the total population, then this is called as a survey sample. Now in field survey, you go and interview and you ask questions to a number of people who are representative of the market. It can be conducted through questionnaire, or you are giving them, taking personal interview. It can be either through mail, through media, telephone, or face-to-face. You can distribute a questionnaire, or you go and interview selected people. You go and interview based upon the requirement of the research work in hand. Now focus group, it is a form of, you take a group of people and then you discuss a topic which is of interest to the researcher. And these groups are very helpful in quantification of the research to a certain extent. So to 10 to 12 people, the researcher will be the moderator and he will throw the question, and this is how the research work or data is collected. Observation method, it is perhaps the simplest form of market research. Either you do it by human or you can do it by mechanical. Video recording is one method of observation. Now it is useful in a situation where a questionnaire might be inappropriate. Like you want to see how the guests are behaving in a restaurant. Then obviously you would need an observation method in this. Now, experimental research or experimentation, it takes various forms and can be a useful tool for predicting behavior. Like when a hotelier is thinking of changing the menu, or he wants to change the decor of the entire hotel. So what he does is he takes a few rooms and then he changes it. And after making the alteration, he seeks the opinion of the guest. So that is a type of experiment. If it is favorable, then he can take the decision to extend it to all the other rooms in the hotel. So a simple example to demonstrate or to explain how experimental research is done. Literature review. Now, research is not possible without references. So, gathering of information from secondary data is of prime importance in research, and many organizations, in fact, they keep data like this for future references also. But however, you have to be very judicious in reviewing the literature or the primary data, as the research have to interpret them correctly, and even the secondary data also. You have to make it tuned to the requirement that you have. So the interpretation is very important. Now, when you talk about application of market research, in say it is used in determining the size of both the current and the potential market. How many inbound tourists are coming from UK? How many are coming from Bangladesh? How many are coming from the USA? And what are the avenues of growth? So when you do a market research, then only you will be able to answer this question. You assess the market trends. Adventure holidays are becoming more popular. So should we incorporate that? Or what are the emerging areas that we can incorporate in our destination promotion? So these are all areas of market research to determine the sales and demand, the supply side and the demand. Is there a gap in between these two? So this is what the application area of market research. Now, you ascertain the strength and the weakness of the competitors' marketing strategy. Try to find out, like call a SWOT analysis, to try to find out the strength, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threat. And then you are trying to incorporate that, or you're trying to make a comparison with the marketing strategy that you have. So this is an application of market research, and you talk about tourism policies, plans, and strategies. This can be implemented. And you're trying to assess the role of government and its policies towards the tourism industry as a whole. Now, there are certain market research area which is very important, like we have already discussed about the attitude and the motive of the tourist market. In tourism, it is the tourist, the existing and the potential. So to know the attitudes, to know their motive is important. And then tourist behavior, how do they behave? What are the spending habits? We have already discussed this before also. So how do they interact with the host population? How do they, if they are coming to a destination based on the advertisement or the campaign that has been there. So they have come with certain expectations. So when they come to the destination and the reality that they face, if it is not matching, there is a gap to how do tourists behave in certain circumstances, in that specific circumstances. It is very important. And tourist satisfaction level, the consumer experiences, and the relationship. See, relationship not only in terms of tourists and the host. It can be a relationship between, even in a tour group, relationship between one member of the tour group to another member of the tour group, relationship of the tour members with the tour escorts, and again relationship between the host and the guest, the resident and the guest, relationship in terms of the various stakeholders in the tourism industry. So you have different segments of the tourism sector also, which is very important to know about. So all these are tourism research areas which we can think of doing tourism. This is just a few. The list is not exhaustive. There is a whole area where you can, because in each point there are again so many points which can be researched upon. So to conclude, market research is not a single area of study, and in tourism it should be seen as an applied subject with different perspective. And knowing and understanding the market is the prime duty or the responsibility of the marketers and the tourism professional, so that more areas can be covered, and this is exactly when you do a research, then it will help you to find areas where you can help, or you can make the satisfaction level of the tourists who are visiting your destination, and it will give them a complete feeling. It will help in strengthening your tourism destination offerings. So now we have discussed a little bit on say market, what is research, what is market research, and then we have touched upon the tourism areas of research. We have also talked about the different types of methodology that you can use, the different tourist market tools, research tools, like you can use the questionnaire, you can use the interview. And we have also touched upon what is qualitative methodology and quantitative methodology, and we have also seen the importance of market research in a dynamic area like tourism. Thank you so much for a patient hearing.